Hi everyone, so we're back with another exercise and it's actually going to be our last one and I call it the fifth exercise. And essentially what we're going to be doing is we're going to be singing on an oo and e vowel and we're just going to slide up a fifth. And if you want you can go the octave, so I guess an octave and then back down. You're going to choose an oo and the vowel of your choice based on how it resonates for you. Basically, there's 4 systems, and one of them is the resonating system. And this determines how resonating your sound is. So the resonators are always the bones. So you can really feel it from the eyebrow bone, the nose bone, and the cheekbone. You can tell it from all the bones in your face. So if you want to just feel your face and determine where those bones are for you, when you sing, you'll feel them sort of resonating. The resonating system depends on everybody's voice. So it's not the same for my voice and it's not the same for your voice. So you really have to give one that suits you. I prefer the vowel because I can really feel it here, and I feel like the oo is just not, it doesn't work for me. But you'll have to try it and just try these exercises and determine which one feels more resonating for you. This exercise is really important because it determines when you're not using your diaphragm and those muscles that help you have a deep and good breath. So if you hear a little interruption, or when you get those like little voice cracks, that's actually not using your breath support as well. So when you hear the interruption, you know you're not doing it correctly and you just want to start over. It's really, really important that you go up by semitones and not a full step. Another thing that you want to be aware of is also vowels create a consistent and smooth tone, which you really want when you're just trying to improve your breath support. So let's get on with the exercise and I'll talk you through it as well. Hi guys, so we're going to start the exercise now, and you're going to choose which vowel works for you. I'm going to do the E vowel, and you're going to move up a fifth, and if you really want to aim high, go to the octave. So, and you want to make sure you hit each semitone, so we're going to go up a semitone each time. I'm going to start with just the fifth, and then maybe I'll demonstrate the octave. Make sure you have a consistent flow, and if you want to really make sure you're focusing, you can always put your hand on your diaphragm if it helps you. So I'm going to start with a middle C. You can do whatever range you want, but for me, I'm just going to start with the middle C. Another thing to mention, if you're doing the E vowel or oo vowel, you really want to make sure that your mouth is pretty open. So take 2 fingers and just make sure they're clean and put them in your mouth. And this distance between your teeth is the distance you want to have when you're singing the vowel, because it increases and maximizes the resonance that you want. So we're going to start. So each time when I'm doing this exercise, I can really feel each slide I'm going up is really engaged in the diaphragm. And there's no interruptions, meaning I'm doing it correctly. So now I'm going to demonstrate the octave. I may not be there yet because I've just started out, but I'm going to show you in order so you know what it looks like. I'm going to start on the C again. So this one's a little bit harder because you have to sustain throughout the whole 16 notes. It's actually 8 notes, but you're going up and down, so I guess 16 beats. So it's a little more challenging than just the fifths, but we're going to try it out, and I might make a mistake, but it's progress. I don't know if you could hear it, but there was a little blip at the end, meaning that my core or abdomen and diaphragm wasn't engaged fully. So we're going to try it again and see if I can remove that blip, and I'm really going to focus. There's a little bit of a blip still, but it's getting a little bit better and you can hear it less. So I'm going to do it again. Let's go up a semitone. I can still hear it a little, so I'm going to try it again up a semitone. Still hear it a little bit. So now I'm going to do the octave one. Now I'm obviously just starting out, so there may be some blips, but you shouldn't worry too much because it's a progress. So I'm going to start on middle C again. So I'm going to start on middle C again. Now you could hear that little blip, right, at the end of the note, and maybe when I was going up to the fifth as well. And that means that I'm not engaging my diaphragm enough. Ooh, sorry. So if there's a blip, you want to stay on that note and just continue it until you get this long, flowing, consistent tone with no interruptions. So I'm going to try it again and see if I make a little bit of progress. Now you could hear that maybe it wasn't as legato or smooth as I would want it, but there was no interruptions, meaning there is progress and I'm engaging my diaphragm. So I hope you guys enjoyed that exercise. It's actually really hard and I can really start to feel it moving. You may realize that I do tend to maybe lift my shoulders a little bit, and that's what the T-pose exercise is for, to reduce it. However, I notice that it's a bit less, meaning that I'm making progress in the direction that I want to. But really make sure that your shoulders are relaxed and you're not lifting them up and tensing them, because you really want to make sure your body is loose. If you want to just, shake it out and really make sure you're all relaxed, that's really good as well, to make sure you're not tense. I find when I'm singing, I'm really stiff. My knees are locked, which they really shouldn't be, and I'm just really tense. So when you're doing it, you can even do the movements up and down. Maybe that will help you get a more consistent tone that you want. But make sure you're just having no interruptions. I know it's tedious, but it will really help you gain that good breath support in the end. I'm gonna, like usual, do this exercise for about, I'm gonna say 2 days, because you can really feel it there. It might not be developed, but I'll definitely tell you how it goes and what the results are. And just make sure to practice this every day, because that's how you develop better breath support. Hi guys, so it's been about 2 days roughly, and I've been continuously doing these exercises, and I found that they've been working really well for me. I've been noticing a change in my diaphragm and that it's really supported now. Um, I just had my voice lesson about a day ago, and I realized that when I was doing the exercises, I could sustain those notes more during the warm-ups and during the piece itself. I'm still having a little struggle, but as I remind myself, it's a developmental process. I just wanted to make you guys aware of what happens to your voice when you're singing and why you're having those little interruptions, or as I call them, blips in your vocal cords. They also are called voice cracks. So what's happening while you're singing is when you breathe, the air pressure is building up beneath your glottises. So these are the glottises. And basically the air pressure builds up underneath here, and then they release for the air to go up while you're singing. And they do that continuously, maybe about 100 times. It differs for each part. As a soprano, your glottises are doing this motion a lot more than if you're a bass because of the frequency of pitch. So what happens when you have a voice crack or a blip is that the glottises are not warmed up enough and the muscles are tight. That's why in singing, warm-ups are so imperative, because they warm up those muscles so then they're not as tight. The glottises are stiff and they're tight and they just clash into each other, and that's what creates a little blip because your glottises weren't prepared to do this fluid motion. So that's what's happening when you have the blip, and it's meaning that the air pressure is releasing it too fast. And that's why it's so imperative that there's no interruptions during this exercise. You really want to make sure that your diaphragm is engaged and your abdomen too, and you don't want any tension in your vocal cords. So in my experience during these exercises, one thing that has helped me is tucking in my pelvis bone, just down here. And just tucking that in, I feel like it gives you a little bit more support. So if you're having troubles with the interruptions and the blips, make sure to really tuck in that pelvis bone. And you can also put your hand on your diaphragm towards your abdomen as well, just so then you're concentrating and you're aware of what's happening with your diaphragm. I've hoped you guys learned a lot from these breathing exercises, and it has been very beneficial for you guys. I just want to remind you that if at first you don't succeed, always try again. Because breath support is definitely a developmental process and it takes a long time. I mean, I'm not at the level that I wish to be at, but I know that continuously doing these exercises every day will help me get onto my goal and achieve it. So really do these exercises every day. I know I will. And just use it as a warm-up because it's a great warm-up as well, and it strengthens those vocal muscles, and it also strengthens your diaphragm and your abdomen and your oblique muscles. Remember to keep practicing, and I hope your breath support gets better with these exercises.